Okay. So, I would like to state something. I would like to state the fact that I understand that there are rules in servers, and I understand that this may come off to some people as weird or even selfish. But I will preface this: the server rules are quite flat. So yeah, whenever it is me, for some reason the server rules immediately get a heightened strictness, even when I do not make necessarily horny or off the grid comments, so to speak, to the point to where everything feels like it's my fault and like they are making it my fault. I am doing my best for where I am, and I am trying my best. I always will try my best. That's what I've been trying to do, is to be the best that I could. Yet they treat this with a level of cruelty. And I feel like I have been lied to in the rules. Like I have been manipulated because somebody didn't want to actually hold out for the fact that maybe some people have speech errors or some people mispronunciate. Even then, I said misp instead of mispronunciate. And I'm not trying to go ahead and play victim here. I just want to say my thoughts and how I feel about this server. This server is fun. I really, really want to do anything to try and help with the project of this server, which is a thing about Transformers, obviously. But the whole thing with that is there are going to be some people who have silly jokes or silly ideas, silly meme references, and a friend even made a suggestive joke. And there is a rule where you cannot threaten people, and I did not threaten anybody. In fact, I made a joke about wanting a character to do something gory to me because that's their whole personality, is doing gory and atrocious things, and I kept it quite plain. I kept it quite easygoing, I kept it quite nice, and then I will not name names, but people started to get mad at me, and people started to get all sorts of different kind of objective things and even made comments about me and what I do. And then eventually I started defending myself, as one should do. And when I did, almost everybody got angry at me. And then so many other people decided that I was the bad guy in the situation. Even though the whole character's trait is that they can't feel pain and want to inflict pain on others so they can try to form what pain may feel like. That is their whole thing. And if you're wondering, I was talking about antagony. And I really enjoy the character, and the server preemptively knows that I have a few mental issues and a few mental problems that all lead to several sorts of stuff that I can't really control. Well, more that it's difficult for me to find a way to tune myself to a type of speech that I am not usually inclined to using, like a more safer work speech. even though what I said was not inherently NSFW in any way. And what I said was I want them to slit my throat. Specifically, my Cybertronian character. I specified. I want them to slit my Cybertronian character's throat. Which is a little joke in the community where they like take a character and then basically one of their main attacks or an attack that they think would fit the character, they want them to do to them. And my friend made a joke about Transformers 1 where the cogs and cog kind of sound similar. And we all laughed. They never got a warning. And I am on my final warning because last time I mispronunciated a word, booze, and accidentally said boobs. And I don't remember the third, and I don't remember the second one exactly. But I do remember that somebody felt offended and reported me. And this is not the first Discord drama I've had. And I'm not trying to victimize myself. I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm in the right, they're in the wrong. But they are lenient and relaxed with everybody else. And the server is literally a Cybertronian allegory name for a anus. And I joined this server thinking, okay, I guess it's a safer work server. But then the thing is that they went and their banner is literally Cybertronian ass. That is just the Cybertronian butt. And I'm not, like, if you even click on it, like, if you don't click on it, it'll still be zoomed into the Cybertronian butt. And when it's not zoomed in, it'll be Cybertronian butt. That is so stupid because it's supposed to be a safer work server. And having characters' butts on display is not okay. It is not safe and it is not fun. Because this is supposed to be expressly safe for work. But I went past it because, you know, they're fictional characters who don't share human anatomy. But then, when I brought up Cybertronian anatomy, they got mad at me. Even though Cybertronian anatomy has nothing explicitly sexual about it. Sure, people do make it explicitly sexual, but I was talking about a professional AU I was working on. Not one of the gooner AUs that you see online. Like a professional, scripted AU with my own characters and the occasional adult humor. Occasional. And then they decided that it was apparently wrong. And I never talked about any of the adult humor, by the way. I specifically said there is some adult humor, but for the sake of the server, I won't mention it. And that was somehow enough to get me a temporary ban. And then I asked, hey, why did I get banned? I didn't really do anything exactly that would break the rules. And they said, oh, well, you did. You made an explicit joke. And I was like, oh, could you tell me when? So I could properly focus my speech, because I am a little bit of a buckshot person when it comes to my speech, as you could probably tell. And that's probably, you know, just a problem that I have, and I'm not trying to say that it's anybody else's fault that I am like this. This is entirely my fault or how I was born. And that I understand. I'm not trying to blame that on anybody else. And I was playing around, joking with friends, and then one of the mods who was on call with us sent a text like, hey, this isn't okay. And it was with the throat thing, with Antagony. And everybody else had made NSFW jokes thus far. But then when I said so, they treated me as if though I were the bad guy in the situation. I was being weird and I was having weird suffixes and, weird actions and weird stuff and making things uncomfortable, even though I was just trying to fit in. They know this. They know that I'm kind of screwed, that I'm not usually able to fit in. And they know this, and they explicitly know this, and I've explicitly told them that I sometimes have trouble fitting in a crowd. And then everybody was like laughing except for the mod. And then this was also the same mod who told me that I was being NSFW by accidentally saying boob instead of booze. Even though I apologized, and the other mod in the call did not care. They were fine. They just found it silly and laughed. It sounded like I said left, didn't I? They laughed. We had a good cackle at it, and we had a good laugh at my stupidity. And then the mod was like, hey, I'm putting you on warning, you can't call anymore. And I was like, okay. But then I joined the call because I only said that after. And the whole thing was that they decided that I apparently did something wrong, even though I did nothing against the rules. I just tried to fit in, and we were making NSFW jokes. Well, more suggestive jokes. Not quite NSFW, but still. The jokes were still weird. And, frankly, we were talking about St. Patrick's Day. And boobs, in my opinion, although I am German, and I'm not trying to force this view upon anybody else, it is not an inherently sexual topic. No genitalia is inherently sexual. And that is just how I see it, because it is just organs, in my opinion. Like, there is no opinion that I will force onto others. But I find it very painful and very hypocritical that I got picked out of a crowd, and I keep getting picked out of a crowd, and I sound older than I am, and I also look older than I am, and people usually discriminate against me for that. And I understand that. I'm not trying to say that I deserve any kind of kindness, since I do look almost completely the opposite of my actual age in a weird way. But I do try to make up for it by usually trying to help people, by trying to be nice and kind and helpful, trying to get on people's good sides. But the mods just did not let that happen. They didn't let me have a moment to speak and to understand me. They did not give me a moment to do anything. And I was sad. I brought it up that the server's name is an allegory of a butt, and the name is an allegory for a butt, and the banner literally has ass on display, and there's an image alternative that was front-facing, by the way. So they had an option that wasn't that, and they still picked the butt version. And they could have named it anything else, and the thing is, this is a creation server. They could have named it after the creation, instead of giving it a very Valve pluggy name, and making it seem like this was something that, NSFW creators would make, which I am not against NSFW creators, as long as they are drawing of-age characters in legal ways, and doing things that aren't like some type of incest or self-cest or some other type of weird fetish that people for some reason have. And I will never discriminate against people who enjoy that stuff, because that is their business, not mine. It will never be my business. And that is that. It will never be my business, and I don't want it to be my business. That is what they personally feel comfortable doing, and that is what I will allow them to do, because that is the right of a person. I will not stop somebody from doing something that gives them joy unless it is becoming harmful or is harmful. I am just going to tell them that they should do it in moderation. And most people find me doing that as weird and controlling. And I'm not trying to do so. I'm trying to look out for people, even if I don't like them. I try my best to look out for them so they don't get hurt. So they can actually, have stuff, like they can have a life. Because I myself have had a very messed up childhood, to the point to where the majority of my childhood before I was a teen felt like adulthood, and even my teen years felt and remind me of adulthood. Because I have seen adults, I have been in the position of adults, I have done adulty things. And whenever I do those things, it reminds me of when I did them when I was younger. And I was like, wait, I shouldn't be doing these things when I was younger. None of this should have happened when I was legally a minor. And this is not okay. And these people are quite a bit older than me. They were adults by the time that I was a kid. Okay? And they have more power over me in the server, and they still decided to pick on me. And I did make a mention, and the mod about the bolt hole thing was like, oh, you're just making it weird, and you're just trying to find a reason to be right when you're wrong, and overall tried to frame me like I was the bad guy when they were the one who violated server rules. I tried bringing this up to the admin, and the admin said, oh, well, they didn't. You're just probably making things up. And eventually I started to feel less and less safe with the server. And right now I'm not affiliating myself with the server or anybody in it, even though I have friends in those servers. But I will not call in the server until either the misplaced warnings are taken off, or they have understood that I can also make suggestive jokes, because everybody else was doing it and nobody else got a warning, because they make all of these warnings public. They make every warning public, and these people have never gotten a warning, no matter how suggestive the jokes they have made have been. And that feels sleazy. And I do not mean to be the person who's trying to make this all about myself. I'm not trying to victimize myself. I'm trying to tell my story. And this is my story. I have been in several servers like this. I have had several other dramas where I was somehow the bad guy when everybody else manipulated me into those things. I have had horrible dramas when I was younger. I have had horrible dramas when I was older. But almost all of them I have tried to learn from, and I have tried to understand. And the more I try to understand the majority of my dramas, the more I think that people were just picking on me in those times. Because, frankly, there was nothing to have drama about. And, frankly, it felt objectifying that I was constantly made the bad guy just because I sounded older and I was the youngest in the room. And that I understand. People can have opinions about other people and how they function. And also, I feel like I was discriminated because of the fact that I said that I do not support certain people, and I would prefer if they were thus far not supported. Like, say, Trump, which I will never support because he is an awful person. And most people agreed, but the mods, because I had that small disagreement, decided to be toxic and ruin the experience for us all. I've even had RPs where it is in character and somebody wanted to RP with this character, and the person who wanted to RP with these characters is one of the mods. And we had a fun RP, and then the mod immediately after was like, "Hey, you can't do this. You can't say this. This is inappropriate. This isn't okay. Going to have to put you on a warning." And I was like, "Okay, but why?" And they were like, "Oh, because of stuff you said in the server." And I was like, "Wait a minute. You provoked that. You literally were like, hey, want to have this RP?" And I was like, "Sure." And then you go right behind my back, and then you somehow make me the bad guy when you asked, and then you made it weird. You made it weird, and then you almost got my entire Discord account ruined, which also, a little fact about me, I don't have any other contacts of my friend, and I don't think that I will for a while, and I'm trying to figure out a way to get other contacts for my friend, and from them, but currently I don't. And currently, that makes me scared. And they use that to try and keep me in a corner. So after this video, I'm going to ask my primary friends if they have a phone number and if I can have it. So then, even if my Discord account does get publicly or temporarily banned, I can still communicate with the people that I care about. And they know this, and they are threatening to not ban me from the server, but ban my account. They are threatening to report me for a bunch of horrible things that I've never done, and make a bunch of AI stuff. And this is another reason that I do not respect people who use AI, because it can physically ruin people's lives. And it has been used to try and ruin mine so many times. And people have even made bots about me just to use me as apparently the, person who was in the wrong, who did everything wrong, who was wrong and should not have been invited to the server, or shouldn't have even been given a Discord account. And I try to hold out hope that these people will learn, but every time I interact with them and every time I try to give them a second chance, they always prove me right, and I hate it. That they will never change, and that they are too childish to change. I do not want to offend anybody, but people need to grow up. You can have your little regressed time. I'm not trying to take that away from you. I personally have some times of regression. But when I do that, I at least accommodate. I at least take responsibility for when I am not regressed. And people think regression is a thing that you can do on command. A lot of the time, regression is just your brain needs help processing things from your childhood. Not that, it's a forced thing, but it is usually not willingfully. It is usually not willingful regression. And I am tired of people thinking that. And frankly, it is a problem. It is a problem in most communities. It is a problem in most fandoms, where they can't just accept that some people have different issues. And I am tired of people doing that. I'm tired of people constantly making all sorts of memes and joking about people. And it hurts. And I will not stand by and let this happen to people I care about. And another thing is, I do not appreciate how I have been treated. I don't appreciate how I've been treated in all of the fandoms I've joined. All of the fandoms I've joined where I've tried to help create, somebody has decided that apparently I was the bad guy. They just picked me from a hat and they keep doing it. Probably because some people made lies about me, made rumors about me, and took context out of things that I did that were for the good of other people, or because I was peer pressured and lied to do it. Not because I wanted to do these things, but because I was lied to, and because I was told lies that were never things that I would want to do. Things that I personally despise. And things that I find disgusting. And I would never do. People know this. State this. I state that I have problems. I state everything preemptively, so then everybody has the most grounded basis. And because of this, people get mad at me. And when I don't, people get mad at me. Like, well, why didn't you tell us this? We would have been more accepting. But whenever I do, people always, and I mean always, decide that apparently I was in the wrong and I did something bad. I don't have any type of respect for people who do this. I have no understanding. I have no kindness for these people. I do not appreciate these people. They are horrible, and they do not understand that other people can make mistakes because they think that they are so high and mighty. They think that they are greater than everybody in the room, and I think that just because they have some fancy thing under their belt so they can do whatever they want means that they're all of a sudden better. That doesn't make anybody better than the other person. A server should treat all of its members like people, not try and make it so that other people feel dehumanized. They should make it so that people feel safe. And I refuse for a server to be ran where people are unsafe and cannot speak their mind. This server is already lacking many things that a community server should lack, and is also being quite toxic to some of their people who do not work on their little project. And I am working on that project, but they are deciding that I am apparently a problem. They are making me out to be the villain in most of these situations. And it hurts because I'm genuinely trying to be a better person. And I am trying my best to actually do something good. Because I came from a family of awful people. People who treat me poorly, people who ruined my life and made living almost impossible, and made me almost have second thoughts on being alive. And I will link a suicide hotline and just a therapy hotline in the description. I will link everything that people need, and I promise I will do this. I will not second guess myself on this. I want people to be safe. And right now, I feel unsafe in a fandom that was supposed to be a fandom I can enjoy, because whenever I try to express myself in the fandom, people usually get mad at me. This is a fandom that I used to get away from the stress of my awful family, the awful things that they've done. This is how I try to get my own sense of life. This channel was originally made for somebody else, so I could help them, and then they betrayed me, which I won't go into that in until I feel comfortable with that. But I truly feel unsafe. I already feel unsafe in America, and I already started to feel unsafe in my own fandom. It's helping me de-stress from America, and I can't be part of a fandom that will not accept me for who I am and will actually prioritize making me out as the bad guy when I am just doing my best. I will not sit there and be made the bad guy of everyone's story just because I have certain ideas and certain plans that are against other people. Like, oh, I might gender bend some characters, and then everybody treats me like I've done something awful and horrible. And I'm not. I just feel like it fits the character. I feel like it makes sense. It makes sense to me, and I personally enjoy it. I enjoy gender bending characters. Like, oh yeah, Onyx is one of the female primes in my AU because fertility and carnality and all sorts of other stuff, which is all very naturey things. They're all very naturey things to do, like breeding and fertility and, other things. And, and Megatonus, or the Fallen, is also female in my AU because of the fact that there's a saying about a woman's scorn. And fun fact, also Scorn is a woman in my AU because of that saying as well. And frankly, I do not feel like people actually understand what I'm trying to say and do. I feel like people look at me and are all about what I've done wrong. They do not try to look past the ways that I fixed it. They hyper-focus on what I've done wrong. And that hurts, because I truly, truly am trying to be the best person I can be. And I'm trying to be a considerate person. But the longer I stay in these toxic environments, the more I realize they are toxic. And frankly, I do not feel safe. I feel like I'm targeted, and I do not feel comfortable. So this time I will take an actual break. Everything you see on my channel for the rest of March and probably the rest of the next month will be most likely pre-recordings that I decided to upload. And this video also is actually a pre-recorded video that I was going to use for a Transformers rant. But frankly, I decided that I will use it for this. So then there's some level of something. There's something to at least listen to. So then somebody can just turn the audio off and maybe listen to some music while watching the video. And then they don't have to listen to all of this negativity. Instead of just a black screen. And I am trying my best to be the best person I can be. And that is final for this video. This is a very winded video. And usually I try to have my content be as people-forwarding as possible and as people-pleasing as possible. Usually trying to make accommodations that wouldn't mess up my personal content. And usually just making content that people can enjoy without, making things horrible for them. But really, at this point, I need the comfort. I need to get this off my chest, and I need to get this off of my whole person, because this feels awful. This feels like everybody sees me as a bad person, and I just had to get this off my chest. So, I appreciate you watching this far into the video, and I appreciate your kindness for listening. You do not have to leave a comment. I just want to feel like people have listened. And I want somebody to listen to me, but I cannot pay for therapy. And I myself am in a predicament where if I would call a therapy hotline, the people I live with are not the nicest, and they would probably also act out to me thinking that I am unstable and probably try to send me to very horrible places, which I understand that entirely, but still, I do not want to have to deal with that. I just want to have a life that I can have fun having, and I would like to be myself. So, thank you for watching, and this will be temporarily my final video.